Hi, and welcome to part 3 of my conversation with Jenifer Manzo. I really hope you're enjoying this conversation. I certainly did. This is not going to be the only conversation that I have with Jenifer. There's another conversation coming down the line, but this is the final part of this particular conversation. So please feel free to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on other talks that we may have. Also, if you want to continue to follow her and her journey, please go over to Instagram and follow her at authenticallyjenifer, Jenifer with one N, authentically Jenifer, to just keep up with what's going on in her life and to continue to follow her story. Let's get back into this conversation and see y'all soon.
Then I started like caring for my body and taking care of my body and
Yeah.
like I ate properly and I like lost 30 pounds. It was so good. And then I got to Alaska, or then I told everyone I was moving to LA, and I lost a lot of friends because of that. I actually had one guy tell me like, "Why would you move there? Jesus isn't there." And I was like, first of all, insult to every person
Excuse
I
me.
know in LA who is a Christian. Like, why the hell are you saying? And this was like an older gentleman
Oh
who was like
God.
an elder in a church, and I was like, that's not nice at all. And that's a lie. And LA needs Jesus, so you know, little Italian there. And I just said, this is what I think I'm supposed to do. Let me go on this journey. Let me go to LA. Let me pursue my dream. Let me pursue my passion. Didn't realize that I was being redirected to Alaska because I still had work to do.
Yeah.
But in the process of choosing to be in Alaska, choosing to be in a hard place, I lost a lot of friends, which was the best thing ever. Like now that I'm back in Arizona, there's a lot of people I don't talk to. I don't know where they are. I don't actually care because my life is so much freer without them and their
Yeah.
toxicity and they're like, suck Jennifer, like get what can we get from Jennifer? Like,
Oh my God. Yeah.
and so going to Alaska was great because I actually was so isolated. I lived in one of the biggest cities. I lived in Anchorage, so one of the biggest cities in Alaska, but I didn't have a car. So it was literally,
Mm.
I literally depended. I felt like I was back in college. Remember, I didn't have a car in college. Like I felt like back in college, and I had to like, I'm a dancer. You want to go dancing? Okay, like, can you come pick me up? I know it's out of
Yeah,
your
but to
way.
be fair, we were kind of in the middle of nowhere. Like,
Well, even in Anchorage though, like I couldn't get anywhere unless I had a ride.
sure.
And so I felt like I was back in college. Um, and like
And
it was super
to
humbling.
being dependent on people
Oh,
is
so
so
hard.
frustrating.
Yeah.
It's humbling.
Especially when
Exactly
you're
what you
supposed
said.
to be the one everyone's dependent on. And that was the thing. I think that's why I was in Alaska. Is because
Yes.
I am the one, and this is what I was raised in. I was the one everyone else was supposed to be dependent on for what their emotional needs, their physical needs, everything. I
Yeah.
mean, my sister used to pinch me and twist it. Like it was her way of like abusing me. Like people
Mhm.
and people are like, why is that abuse? I'm like, because I would tell my mom and my mom would say, that's fine. Like I was my sister's outlet for her anger. And her way of doing it was pinching with her nails and twisting. Like and I
That
had
is abuse.
a parent who said, that's fine, let her do that. Like that is abuse. I know it's not like I didn't have big bruises all over my I had little tiny ones all over my arm, but nobody knew what they were or cared. And that's like my body was for my sister to do with what she wanted.
That I mean
To
that's a,
take out her
that is
anger.
inflicting harm. That is
Oh yeah.
absolutely 110% abuse.
Yeah. So you take this little girl from growing up who had this experience. Now you stick her in Alaska where she's all alone and she can't be anything for anybody else. Like I literally couldn't be anything for anyone because I had no possible way to do it. I couldn't get to them. They had to
Oh
come to
man.
me. If it was so like I get nauseous thinking about it again. Nausea is such a good feeling for me now because I'm like, oh, it's bringing up something that I need to release. I needed to release saying, I am the one that everyone comes to and gets what they need. Because
Yeah.
I'm not Jesus and I'm not God. And I need to stop acting like it. And in
Yes.
Alaska, I learned to ask for help. And it was super hard. Um, And in asking for help, I figured out who my friends were. And when I struggled to ask for
Mm.
help, I had friends who call me and be like, "You need help? You
Oh,
need a ride?
yes.
You need a car? I'm gone for a week. Do you need a car? I'm gone for a month." One of my buddies in the army gave me his car for a month.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
And I didn't ask. I wanted to ask him, and I didn't. And he
Oh.
called me and he's like, "I know you need a car, and I just got sent to the army, like sent for training. You want my car? Well, I'm gone." Like, yeah, I need your car. Not I want your car. Yeah, I need your car. You know? And so it affected my relationships in the sense that it purged me of the toxic ones, the ones where people only wanted me for what they could get from me. And it brought into my life, and my life is so much more full because it brought the people who said, "I want you in my life so much that I will drive 10 minutes one way, so 20 minutes round trip out of my way to get you and make sure that you're in my life." And who you are matters, because I know you're like, I started with a new specialist. I'm still dealing with a lot of like health issues, and I started with a specialist, and the side effects aren't fun. And so I got to tell 2 3 people in my little community, like, "Hey, these are the side effects. I need you to be watching for them because I'm not going to be able to see them, and I trust you enough, even though I've only known you since September or even January." Some of these people I didn't really become friends with until January. So like 2 months into our friendship, I'm saying like, "You're the only thing I've got, and I need you to keep an eye on me because I'm in a really rough place, and I'm in a really dark place." And they were like, "I got you." So being in Alaska was crazy hard, and everyone thinks it was amazing because of what they see on social media. But it was amazing from the sense that I saw that trauma, I saw that trigger, and I said, who I am is worth dealing with my problems and my issues. And I was able to say, "I'm worth it. I'm worth taking a look at this hard thing." And I got some amazing friendships out of it. And I got a boyfriend, which is kind of cool because, I mean, we talked about this yesterday. Like, relationships are not a big, like, green light in evangelicalism. Like, that's a big deal for me. Like, being in a
Yeah.
relationship with someone. I was raised where this is so fucked up, but I was raised. My mom literally told me repeatedly growing up, "You don't date, you get married."
Ooh.
And I was like, "Okay, mom," but like, I didn't know anything. And now that I'm like 33, I'm like, what the fuck was that?
That
Like,
kissing
how are
dating
you?
goodbye BS. Yeah.
Well, even the "I give dating a chance" thing, there's a whole evangelicalism has relationships so fucked up and twisted up, and it's
They have
more
so
about
many books on them, and they don't even know what they're talking about.
right, and it's more about populating the earth. I talked to someone 2 days ago. She's like, "We were raised to populate the earth. We were raised to believe that you can make any relationship, any marriage can work if you both love Jesus." Bullshit. I am calling bullshit.
Yep.
Tell that to the woman that I know who was in a relationship with a man who everyone thinks is amazing, who was like molesting children, and the other guy who, like, pretty sure he's having an affair, but at the very most, I know that he's physically abusive to his children. Like, or like I could go on and on and on. Like, and these men say they love Jesus. I don't think so.
Yep.
And
Loving Jesus didn't keep
those
my
women,
parents together.
no, it's more than that. And it's like, and is it authentically loving Jesus? Like, do you actually love Jesus, or are you just saying it?
Mm.
Like, because these 3 or 4 or 5 men that I'm thinking of, I don't think they actually love Jesus. I think they love what saying they love Jesus does for their lives.
Oh.
It makes them look good. It
And
makes people like them and think they're these great big, like, oh my God. Like, I mean, I had a lot of respect for them because I thought they were these amazing human beings. Whereas I'm also an empath, so I like read people really well and pick up on other people's. I'm actually a highly sensitive person, which is different from an empath. It's more of a broad spectrum. But as an HSP, like I would interact with these men and I didn't really know what I was feeling, but there would be moments where I was like, oh, I feel like something is wrong. And I would go and I would ask the wives. I'd be like, so he did this when you said this, and they would have these elaborate, drawn out explanations for why it was normal
Yeah.
for a man to do whatever they had done.
Yeah.
And me being young and naive, growing up in a
Flag
family
on the
where,
play.
right, like growing up in a family where you don't date, you get married, I was like, oh, like, I guess I'm just wrong. Like, I guess my gut is wrong. I actually learned to not trust my gut. And now I'm like, oh, girl, your gut was dead on. And they've actually, like, I've had a lot of women come back and be like, you were so right. And I couldn't say anything and I didn't know how to say anything. And yeah, like that, it pisses me off. I don't think these men actually love Jesus. I think they love what Jesus' name does for them.
I think for some, to add on to that, they like they love the version of Jesus they've been sold.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. And for some, like a super patriarchal, male-dominated, male-controlling Jesus, right?
Yeah.
And for some, like a hyper focus on the Jesus that turned tables versus the Jesus who said, you know, love thy enemies or be meek or, you know, don't hurt this person. When like you face the reality where of what Jesus actually taught and what like this whole convoluted narrative of like you're supposed to be in charge, you're supposed to have it the way you want, that is just nightmarish, you know. This is another pastor I heard this week, completely different one, who was talking about, oh, it pissed me off so bad. I wish I remember his name just so I could call him out on this, because like this is the kind of stuff that has to be called out on. He made the statement, is like, if you get home from your, like, he's like, my wife is very intelligent and she's wonderful and great, but she's at home where she's supposed to be. And he's like, and I got home. Oh, I know, I feel it. Oh, it's disgusting. And he went on to say, he's like, if you get home and she's like, hey, honey, I've made a wonderful steak dinner, and you're like, you know, I'm actually really feeling pancakes right now. She needs to go make pancakes. I'm
sorry. What?
He said it. He said this from the pulpit. He's like, sorry, that's the way that it is. If, you know, she needs to go make you pancakes. And I'm sitting here like, go make your own fucking pancakes. You, like, she can have the steak dinner. You can go fucking, you know, cook your own thing if you don't want what she made. Like,
sure.
God damn. And this is like, this is an ongoing thing. This isn't a one-off. This is no. I've been through many churches. Like, my family attended multiple churches, and there was a lot of consistencies there that were very problematic. I have visited a multitude of churches in Chattanooga, in Roanoke, in Kansas City, and I'm like, there's some problematic stuff, you know? There's some really deep-rooted stuff. When our leaders are failing, when our leaders who preach at us and teach these strong sermons and they get really emotional and they get up all in your face about stuff and behind the curtain. I mean, what was it? There's like one of the leaders of Hillsong is under scrutiny right now. People are stepping down all across the nation because they're being brought under fire. Have you listened? I'm sorry, I'm not sponsored, but have you listened to the Rise and Fall of Mars Hill podcast? Oh my God.
I've heard about it though.
It shook me. I think you would absolutely gain so much from it. Absolutely, positively recommend it for everyone to listen to.
Yeah.
Anyone who's grew up in evangelicalism, who has anything to do with, you know, like that mindset, like that world, who knows Mark Driscoll, like, go listen to it, because it's very powerful, because it's raw and it's real. And there's a cultural issue that's in the church. There's a cultural issue in the Western world that needs to be addressed. the way that we treat each other, the way that we address each other, the way that we engage with those who are different from ourselves is abyssal.
Oh.
It is very deeply problematic.
Mm-hmm.
And until we learn to listen to each other, until we learn to actually engage in real conversation, not listening to respond or looking for opportunities to attack or to strike out against it, we're not
Or
going
to change the other person.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was something I was very adamant about with my journey, is that I didn't want to be that person who was overly preachy, because the thing is like, it took me years to come to where I'm at. And if people aren't on the same path as me, they're not in the same journey, I can't expect them to get to the same conclusions as me as quickly as I am, right? I can't expect people to get to where I'm at automatically. And actually, my
maybe
mom,
never will.
yeah, and my mom mentioned this the other day, is how grateful she was that she never sensed that I was trying to change her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she determined that was because I knew she couldn't be changed, and I mean, that's essentially what she told me. But the point of it was that that's not my job to change you. I'm not here to force anyone else's perspective. I'm here to learn and grow, and I'm attempting to learn and grow the best that I can. And I'm not going to get caught up in the Dunning-Kruger effect if I can help it. I'm not going to come out here and be like, "Oh, I know everything now," because I don't. Because I didn't. I didn't then. I don't now. I'm still growing. I'm still learning, and I think that it would be unwise to believe that I have arrived.
Right.
I haven't.
You're never going to. Like,
oh.
I mean, like, I never want. I don't know that I ever want to arrive, because, like, the person who comes up to me and acts like they have it all together, I'm like, I don't believe you. And also, even if they did have it all together, how can they relate to me?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
I think there's another thing too that you touched on briefly that I really want to go back to, which is, like the engaging, or it's this like culture and this mindset that at least evangelicals have, and there's like one side or the other, you know. There's like the this is what I believe and you have to believe it too, da 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 da, and then there's the like, just love them to Jesus and everything is like. I'm going to pull relationships into this for a minute, because that's something that's super, super big on my heart. Right now in evangelicalism, there's a lot of, we did it wrong as a church. It's not I give dating goodbye. It's I give dating a chance. And like, and we just need and I'm speaking from the woman's perspective. Like, I am hearing so much of this. We need to just love the men because they've been hurt and abused and they've been taught wrong. And if we just love them and tell them this is a better way, then they will eventually come around. Okay, but what happens when you tell them this is unhealthy, this is unbiblical, and they still don't change? There is no accountability. And that's the thing, like, yeah, we need to engage, we need to be curious and learn about the other person. But there's also like, where's the accountability for the man who is abusing his 6-year-old daughter?
Yeah. Yep.
Where's the accountability for the man who has multiple affairs?
Yep.
And you just want to sweep it under the rug? Where's the accountability? And this is the thing that, like, I was so done with Christian men, and I'm pretty much done with them. But like, where you have all of these single young men who are like, let me get to know you as a sister in Christ. And let me get to know you because, like, I'm looking for a wife. And then like, or like they're part, like, this is the thing, I used to help moderate a dating group, and so many, like, the number of, if I had $1 for the number of times I was told what I'm about to tell you, I would be a rich woman and I would never need to work. These boys, because they're not men, these boys sliding into these girls' DMs, hey, so and so, I want to get to know you. I'm from ... dating group. Oh, okay. You're from this dating group where these coaches are actively teaching you how to engage women in a healthy way. And these guys will talk to these girls for months and months and months and suddenly be like, oh man, I'm just so glad you're my sister in Christ.
And there's nothing about that I hear that I'm like, oh, you actually mean that. Like, how am I, like, that
No.
sounds like
Yeah.
putting on a play.
It is. No,
It's
it's
just the right words to say.
I call it the Christian Playboy.
Oh.
That's what it is. It's actually the Christian F boy. They're not fucking with you physically, they're fucking with you emotionally.
Yeah.
It's the boy who literally makes you think he is so into you and you're the bet, like you are his. I had one guy who was like, man, Jenifer, you are my standard for a future wife, but I could never date you. I'm sorry, the standard is right here in front of you and you're rejecting that standard and you're saying like no thank. Now I am so
I don't even know
glad,
where to begin
sir.
to process that. I don't even know where to start. Like,
But they do that all the time. It's the F boy, and they're like, they put their arm around you, and they're giving you all the physical cues that they're into you, and the mental, like, oh my gosh, like let me tell you, I had such a rough day, and like you're a safe person to talk to, and let me emotionally like dump on you, and then it's like the next week they're coming up and being like, oh my gosh, I fell in love with this girl that I met yesterday, and you're like, hold on,
oh
what
my
was
gosh,
the last 3 months of us talking? Like, and this is happening time and time and time again. And I actually went on the record and I said, I'm done with Christian men because of this repeatedly. And now let me just, I'm going to go on the record again because I did it there after and I'm going to do it now. Women do the same. Women do that. They go in and they're like, oh my gosh, they create this like emotional connection and this physical, like they're like hugging a guy and they like him and he thinks that she's totally into him, and then oh my gosh, I'm so in love with him and he's just not in love with me, and the dude's there like, what have we been doing the last 3 months? Like going to coffee and like hanging out one-on-one. Like women do it too. I'm coming from the female perspective because that's mostly what I've experienced.
sure.
And so, but like, stop it. Stop it. And I said, stop it. And I was told, we just need to love them because they've been raised wrong and incorrectly. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And I know you have the tools to help them learn. They're not listening. They're taking this and they're abusing it. And they're saying, well, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't lead her on because like, we just went to coffee and talked about our day.
Yeah.
I just spent one-on-one time with her intentionally, and I never thought of her as something else. Why is it that 5 different women, me being one of them, all have the same story about me? And that one guy will tell you he never let any of them on because in his culture, in this evangelical culture, he didn't. He was treating them with honor and respect. Bullshit. You were treating them like they were your girlfriend until you found somebody you couldn't keep your hands off.
You were playing the field. You were testing the
Yeah,
waters.
you were playing the field emotionally, and you did it in secret because none of those girls talk to each other. And then they all talk to. I'm that person. I mean, in college, this happened all the time. I remember being at the library, and I asked one of the guys sitting at the desk at the library for like, can I borrow a pencil real quick? I got his life story. All I did was ask for a fucking pencil, and I literally stood there like, what? So now this has happened to me multiple times where I have this pseudo relationship with this guy where I'm like, I feel like he's into me, I think, but I'm not sure, but like we're getting really close and he like trusts me and he tells me about the rough stuff with his mom and his dad and his friends, and like we hang out one-on-one and like, wow, there's this amazing chemistry and connection that I haven't felt with anyone else. And then like I have another girl come to me and be like, oh man, I used to really like him. And I'm like, oh. And me being me, somehow I get their story, and it like literally, I'm thinking of one particular incident. Like this one guy, there's like 3 or 4 of us, and none of those 3 or 4 girls knew each other, or like not very well. Like they knew the other person existed in the area, but not like that he was doing this. And I kid you not, it was the same story. They're like, I thought he was into me. I thought we were gonna start dating, and then suddenly it was like, we need to have a conversation. I only see you as a sister in Christ. And evangelicalism comes in and says, it's fine because before you got too involved, he sat down and said you were only his sister in Christ. Baloney.
Because he didn't tag.
Boy was playing the field. Boy was acting like you were his girlfriend in secret. And when you got too close, or when he found somebody else he was interested in, then he tells you you're his sister in Christ, and we're not calling out this shit.
Yeah, this was like a very like letter of the law versus spirit of the law. He didn't break the letter of the law. Like
No, he didn't.
He didn't like technically he stayed inside the boundaries, but the intent and what like the effect and the aftermath of it is definitely there.
And he's a Christian F boy. That's what he is. He's a fuck boy. He's a Christian fuck boy.
You know what also frustrates me? This is I want to make this point. Because you've said this several times, talking about women, just show them love, show them, care, like guide them towards stuff. How the fuck are you supposed to guide someone who's been taught that your opinion is subpar to theirs? When they have said that men are the head, when the men are the spiritual leaders, that their opinion and their spirituality overrides yours, how the fuck do you expect yours to do anything to theirs? It's not.
It doesn't.
It's not going to, because they've been taught that you have to submit to them. You fall in line with them. Mm-hmm. It makes me sick. I'm sorry. I get very passionate.
Yeah, no, me too. And I think that that's a big deal. Like, I mean, that's part of one of the struggles, and this is not a secret, so I feel comfortable saying this, but like one of the struggles in my relationship right now is like in the present is saying like, hey, this is what I need, or like this is what I'm struggling with, and using my voice, because I come from a culture where like my voice was not allowed to be used.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky. I have the most amazing boyfriend. He's like, oh my gosh, like, let me create this space for you where you can say what you need. And like, we're long distance. And so the time difference means that like the other night we were up till midnight, his time. What, like, the man goes to bed super early because he gets up at 4:30 in the morning to go to the gym. Like, he is a phenomenal human being, and he stayed up till midnight his time. When he goes to bed at like 8:30, because I had something to say, and I didn't know how to say it, and he sat with me in it until I figured out how to say what I needed to say. I could not even name one. I could name maybe 2 evangelical males who would say it, like sit on the phone with me that long. 2. I'm 33. Do you know how many evangelical males I've met in my life? That's like
a lot.
Like, and I've lived all over the world. I'm a I do social media, I do networking, like I meet tons of people all over. Like 2 out of all, and we're putting the boyfriend in a different category, like, but 2 people? Sure. That's not okay. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that I was a woman. Yeah. Or that even if you put the woman thing aside, it was that my job, my role as a human being, and because I know there are men out here like this too, my job was to fill everybody else's need. So I didn't get to say anything. I didn't get to say what I need. Yeah. Because I was a good little Christian girl and gave you what you need and gave of herself until she was so physically ill, her body was shutting down and she was dying. Yeah. And now I'm in this relationship after 33 years of that shit, where there's this man who is like, I actually want to know what you say. And he, like, we were having this conversation and I chickened out and I didn't say what I needed. So I came back when he was sleeping and I was like, I'm a chicken. I sent him a text, I'm a chicken. I had something I needed to say and I didn't say it. And 30 minutes later, I got a message, hey, I couldn't sleep because I feel like we're not done with our conversation. You have something to say, like, please can
Oh
you
my God.
say it? Steven, I kid you not. The moment the man said, please say what you need to say, I am here to listen and process with you, I didn't know what to say anymore. Because I'm so used to, from this culture of being who everyone else wants and needs me to be, of saying I need something and being shut down. At the moment I said I need to say something, I literally was dumbfounded. Like, I sat there and I stared at my phone and I was like, I actually told him, I was like, now that you've created space for me to say what I need to say, I actually don't know what to say or how to say it. Like, I knew what I wanted to say in theory, but I didn't know how to say it.
Yeah.
Because that space is so rarely created for me as a human. Like, put aside gender and beliefs and any of it, but like,
It's a trauma response.
It really was. It was like, oh my God. Like, and that's part of why I was like, oh, I need some help, because like, I have this amazing human being who is creating space for me that is healthy and beautiful and good. And because of 30 years of training, I can't, like, I don't know what to say. Like, help me, please. But again, like, amazing individual that he is, he just sat there and he kept listening and asking questions until we figured it out.
He put your humanity above everything else.
He did. He did. And in a way that makes me feel safe and loved and valued. And also with the call out, like, he's not afraid to say, like, hey, I think this is a trauma response. Like, hey, like, when is the next time you're meeting with your counselor? And it's not pushy or like, go fix yourself. It's like, he knows that I have trauma that is being brought to the surface and that I need somebody to help me. That's not him.
Yeah.
Because he can't help me with all of it, you know? And he shouldn't have to. Like, his job is to be my boyfriend, not my counselor. I don't want him to be my counselor. I want him to be the boyfriend.
Oh my gosh. You found yourself a relationship with someone who sees your humanity and holds healthy boundaries. And I'm just jiving with you right now. Like, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. I'm like, yeah. And this comes when literally, Steven, like 6 months before this, I was like, fuck, man. Like, nope. Yeah. I'm not going to date. I literally was like, I'm never getting married. I mean, and you know me, like in college, I was the girl who was like, I want to have 5 kids and I want to be married. And by the time I graduate college, or maybe a couple years after, like, and now I'm 33 and it was around just before I turned 33, I was like, I'm done with men. Yeah. And I'm especially done with Christian men, because there's no holding space for me. There's no accountability. There's no being able to call them out on stuff. There's the like, oh, we just need to love them and like help them process their trauma. Like, yeah, help them process their trauma, but also say, hey, buddy, you are doing an effed up job with these women. Stop it. Like, and you know better. And I literally was like, I'm done with men. And I told him the other day, I was like, I don't even know how you like got through the castle wall. Like, I only let certain people into my castle, and outside of the castle there's a moat and it's filled with alligators and crocodiles, and like the bridge is pulled up and like all the things, and this amazing individual somehow got through all of the barriers and creates this beautiful space. And when he creates it, going back to my trauma, I'm like, I don't know what to say. Like, that's fucked up. And that comes from the evangelical mindset of sit down, shut up, and be everything for everybody else. Don't be yourself. Don't have needs. But again, I want to be very careful not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's not Jesus. That's not the Bible.
Yeah.
That is people who claim to know the Bible, who claim to know Jesus.
Yeah.
Taking things and twisting it to get what they want.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not love. And that's not being authentic. And the moment that I can, and I'm kind of preaching, I get it, but I'm preaching to myself. Like the moment I take Christians and Christianity and pull it away from the Bible and just look at the Bible, then I'm able to be like, oh, I can have a relationship with God.
Yeah.
I do have a relationship with Jesus. I don't like calling myself a Christian because of what comes with that label. That feeling, I do like saying I have a relationship with Jesus and it's in process and it's complicated, but it's there and it's real. And I have a relationship with God and it's complicated, but it's there and it's real. And I will never, ever not have that. Even when I try to walk away from it, it's always going to be there. It's always a part of who I am. But I am learning to, I don't like this phrase deconstruct because it's the idea. There's one pastor where I actually like listening to him and I think he has a lot of good things to say. He actually talked about deconstruction a couple weeks ago. He was like, when we talk about deconstructing, you talk about like tearing the house down. He's like, but then what happens after that? Like, where are you rebuilding? Like, so I like to think of it as I am rebuilding or remodeling.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the rewiring. Like, I'm still me. I'm still Jenifer. I am still that very weird girl you knew in college. But I'm more authentically myself.
Yeah.
I mean, girl you knew in college would never wear a dress like this. Like, let's be real. or this much makeup. Like, but like, this is me. I was always that person in college. I just was hiding her away, trying to be who you and everybody else thought she should be. Right?
Now you've given yourself permission to be yourself.
Yeah, and I'm not deconstructing my faith. I'm learning what I believe. What is true based on scripture, based on my experience in life, and holding my experience part very lightly and with open hands, because experiences are not always true. And more often than not, they lie to us, and our memories lie to us, and our feelings can lie to us. That doesn't mean they are wrong or bad. They just, my feeling of fear, like when I'm interacting with my boyfriend, if I feel afraid, that more often than not is a trigger being response. I don't have anything to fear from him. My feelings are true and real and valid, but the fear is a lie that I'm not safe. I'm very safe. You know, yeah. I actually had another experience the other day where I was texting a friend and she's like, I need you to remind yourself that you are safe. You don't feel safe. Your feeling is valid because you're being triggered and it's taking you back to when you were in middle school, but you are physically safe. Remind yourself of what is true. And authentically move through that fear, figure out the trigger, figure out what is true, figure out what's on the other side, the sticky deliciousness that Joe talks about, and move forward and continue being authentic.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So it's like a little convoluted, but at the same time, like who I was in college was very much me to the best of my ability. But who I am now, that's the more real version of myself, the more authentic version. And she has always been there. She has always existed. She just wasn't given a voice and a chance to speak.
Oh, I love that. You've grown past what you were taught you had to be. Oh, and like I hear you talking about your relationship with God, right? And like today I had somebody just like we were catching up, having a conversation, haven't spoken to him in a long time, and they're like, so how's your relationship with God right now? And you know, I gave a full response, and I gave one that I felt like was honest, maybe a little guarded, but still honest. And but the initial response that pops into my mind is like when someone says, like, what's your relationship with God like? I'm like, it's mine. And that's it. That's just the word mine. It's mine. And I have it. And it's real and it's raw, and I can like just actually engage with it without all these fucking rules and expectations and like all these criterias. There's no one there who is allowed to critique my relationship with God, because that is something I grew up in, constantly being critiqued, constantly having my relationship with God critiqued, having my relationships with other people critiqued, my friendships are critiqued, my any possible interests are critiqued. When you can just like remove that and just step into it authentically and be free in it and let it be real, God, it's so freeing. It is so freeing. I am inspired by the things you're saying. I love what you're saying. Your journey is like, yeah, because we've walked together for years, and I've seen you go through these different stages of life, and I'm excited to see where you go, and I can't wait to have another conversation about all this. Jenifer, thank you so much for sharing your experience and what your personal journey. What is something you would like to leave people with? Like one word of advice, the big shebang, like it doesn't have to be like all inclusive, just like this one thing that you're learning that you're like, take this, walk with this.
I love that question. I think two things. The first is it's because it's come up multiple times, and I keep the time to say it has never been like there. But I think this whole critique thing that we talked about, and like people having an opinion about our lives, I think in this culture, like everyone thinks they get to have an opinion about your life, and a vote in your life, and that's not the case. I actually had a friend of mine probably about 2 years ago who said there are different categories, and if we put it into circles, you have people on the outside who just kind of like are wandering around. That's like the stranger on the street or whatever. Then there are people in your life who have the first circle. We're gonna call this the view of your life. So those are like the people that you interact with on a regular basis. Maybe it's social media, maybe it's like in your weekly, monthly life. They have a view. Yeah. And they only have a view. Then there are the people in your life who have a voice. So that's the next circle. Those are the people who you can go to them and hear their voice. So you've got the view, and then you've got the voice. Oh shoot, my computer's about to die. A voice who you hear what they have to say when it comes to the view that they have of your life. Yeah. But those people don't have a vote. Yeah. And these circles get smaller. Then you have that inner circle, and it's like this big. And it's those people that get a vote. Those are the people, care about what those people say. If I had listened to everybody else, I wouldn't have gone to Alaska. I listened to the people with the vote. And we vote. Like, ultimately, my vote is the only one that matters, right? Yeah. But because I'm that forest for the trees thing, because I'm in the middle of it, I wanted some votes. Everybody was like, yep, Alaska is the place. Even when they were like, we want you to leave Alaska, they were still like, but you need to be there. Listen to those people. And the other thing is just be curious. Like if I could hear nothing, like if I could say nothing else, be curious about the world around you, about life around you, about yourself, especially about yourself. Be curious, like stay curious. I like that. Stay curious and interact with curiosity. So there you go.
Love that. Jenifer, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. This was amazing.
And thank you everyone for listening to this episode of Soul and Tonic. If you have any experiences along the topics that we've been discussing, please feel free to put them in the comments below. Share your story, because I'd love to hear them. I'm sure Jenifer would like to hear them as well. And just let us engage with you on that. And if you have other thoughts on these matters, feel free to say them. Share, like, subscribe, all those wonderful things. And until next time, remember that life is short. Be quick to love and make haste to be kind. Good night, everyone.
Night.